We're going to do this screencast in two parts. Go over the digestive system first, and then we'll circle back around and talk about enzymes and chemical reactions. The first step in digestion is bringing food in, and that's ingestion, process of putting food into your mouth, the opening to the digestive tract. And then digestion starts. There's two different types of digestion. Mechanical digestion is the physical breakdown of large pieces into small pieces. And then in chemical digestion, you have enzymes breaking down food into those small molecules the body can use to build things back up. Then there's absorption. So once the food has been broken down, it can be absorbed by the cells of the small intestine. And then those molecules enter the circulatory system, transports them throughout the body. They can go be used for whatever purpose they need. And then finally, elimination. So the digestive system can't digest and absorb all food products that come in. Some materials travel through the large intestine and are eliminated as feces. The alimentary canal is the tube, the one-way tube that passes through the body. That's the digestive system. During digestion, food travels through the mouth, esophagus, stomach, and small intestine. And that's where mechanical and chemical digestion happen, and eventually gets the molecules to the point where they can be absorbed. Chewing is the first step in mechanical digestion. In the mouth, there's also chemical digestion. There are digestive enzymes in the saliva that start the breakdown of carbohydrates into smaller molecules. We have the teeth that mechanically digest the food into smaller pieces. Your tongue moves the food around so that it can get in between the teeth. Like we said, the salivary glands secrete saliva, moistens the food, makes it easier to chew, and it contains enzymes. The enzyme that saliva contains is called amylase, and it breaks the chemical bonds in starches. It also has lysozyme, which is an enzyme that fights infection by digesting the cell walls of many bacteria that enter the mouth with food. Once the food is chewed, the tongue and the throat push the clump of food, called a bolus, down the throat. The area at the back of the throat is called the pharynx. In this area, the pharynx, a flap called the epiglottis closes the opening to the trachea. The trachea goes to the lungs. We don't want food going there. We want it to go into the esophagus. So the bolus passes through that tube called the esophagus into the stomach. Contraction of smooth muscles known as peristalsis provide the force that moves the food through the esophagus toward the stomach. You can see the peristalsis happening here, the contractions that move the bolus down into the stomach. As the food passes into the stomach, muscle called the cardiac sphincter closes the esophagus. It prevents the contents of the stomach from flowing back. If that's not working right, then people get what's called acid reflux or heartburn. That's a backflow of stomach into the esophagus. The stomach is a muscular sac that continues chemical and mechanical digestion of food. The lining of the stomach has glands that release hydrochloric acid and an enzyme called pepsin that functions best in acidic conditions. Pepsin begins the digestion of proteins by breaking them into smaller protein fragments or polypeptide fragments. The stomach also produces mucus. It protects the stomach wall. If the mucus layer fails, acids can erode the stomach lining and cause an ulcer. Most ulcers are the result of an infection. We see the Helicobacter pylori in the picture here, and that can be cured with antibiotics that kill the bacteria. The stomach has 3 smooth muscle layers that alternate contracting, and they churn and mix the swallowed food. The mixture that is produced is called chyme. Food is left in the stomach to digest for about an hour or 2, and then another valve, a pyloric valve located between the stomach and the small intestine, opens, and chyme goes into the small intestine. The duodenum is the beginning of the small intestine. It's where almost all of the digestive enzymes enter the intestine. So here we go into the small intestine. It mixes with enzymes and digestive fluids from the pancreas, the liver, and the lining of the duodenum. The pancreas is important for 3 reasons. It produces hormones that regulate blood sugar levels, produces enzymes that break down carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids, so all the different macromolecules. And it also produces sodium bicarbonate. It's a base that neutralizes stomach acid as the chyme enters the duodenum. The liver helps the pancreas digest fat. It produces bile, which contains lipids and salts. Bile is stored in the gallbladder. When fat is present in the duodenum, the gallbladder releases bile through a duct into the small intestine. Bile breaks up the fat into smaller droplets, and that makes it easier for the enzymes to reach those fat droplets and break them down. Digestive enzymes hasten or make quicker the breakdown of foods. We're going to take a closer look at this, but we have 3 different things that we're learning about the digestive enzymes. Where they work, what their names are, and what they do to food. The chyme moves along the rest of the small intestine, and now it's small and medium-sized nutrient molecules that are ready to be absorbed. Absorption happens in these little finger-like projections called villi that are in the small intestine walls. These villi are covered with microvilli, which make an enormous surface area for absorption. Nutrient molecules are rapidly absorbed. Products of carbohydrate and protein digestion are absorbed into the capillaries. Fats and fatty acids are absorbed by lymph vessels. What's left is water, cellulose, and other undigestible substances. Between the small intestine and the large intestine, these undigested materials pass the appendix. In other mammals, the appendix processes cellulose and other materials. Ours doesn't do that. So in the large intestine, or the colon, we have this undigestible substance. It's much shorter than the small intestine, but it has a greater diameter. The main job of the large intestine is to remove water from the undigested material that's left. It's absorbed across the walls of the large intestine, colonies of bacteria that are present in the large intestine produce different things that the body can use, like vitamin K. When large doses of antibiotics are given, they can kill this bacteria, and people can end up with a vitamin K deficiency. Feces is what's the concentrated waste material is called, and that remains after most of the water has been removed. It is eliminated from the body through the anus. If not enough water is absorbed by the large intestine, a person will end up with diarrhea. If too much water is absorbed, then constipation happens.